Hi, my name's Andy, and today on behalf of Parkinson's Care and Support UK, I'm going to be taking you through some standing exercises to improve your balance. Those exercises will predominantly focus on strengthening your core, your legs, your glutes, and also building your confidence around balance exercises. So before we begin, just to get an idea of what you're able to do balance-wise, we're going to assess your balance. So the first way to do that, you'll notice I have a chair to one side for safety. The first way that I'm going to assess balance is to see if I can stand beside the chair with my feet square. So my feet are square on like this, and I'm standing beside the chair. Okay, so if I now bring my feet together just to check that I can hold my balance in this position, then that's a great place for us to start. And so as you can see, I'm perfectly able to do this. My feet are nice and close together. The next stage, the next challenge then, is for me to put my feet halfway beside each other. So the toe on this right foot is going to tuck in to the arch of the left. So they are side by side. I call this half and half. So again, this is our intermediate challenge for balance. Again, I'm quite able to do that. Notice there's a chair to one side. If I should wobble, I can put my hand on the chair to secure my own safety. So again, I'm able to do that. Third time round, we can test heel to toe. We used to call this the pigeon step at school. So I've got one foot in front of the other, the heel on one foot against the toes on the back foot. And again, I'm going to look straight ahead and I'm going to see if I can balance. Whoa, you can see I lost my balance there. Okay, let's try that again. Holding balance in this position. You can see I'm wobbling, but I am able to do that. Okay, so those are really good ways to assess balance. If you struggle with any of those three, I would encourage you to do some of the chair-based exercises that I've recorded previously and work up to this freestanding set of exercises. Okay, so from here, what I'm going to do is standing square-footed again. Let's turn the chair this way. I am literally going to lift one knee up and then swap. Lift one knee and swap. And it's a really good idea to reference a straight line in the room. Let's see if we can do that without the chair. So I am wobbling slightly, but that is perfectly natural. Our body is sensing where it is in a given space. So lifting one knee and pausing. We might look to extend that time to anything up to 30 seconds, building up as we go. So I lift one foot into the air and then the other. You can see for me, I'm choosing to put my hands around my middle. That encourages me to brace my core muscles, pulling everything in front, back and sides around my core to support my spine. So we go one side to the other. You might liken this to the old Mr. Soft adverts. Mr. Soft used to be advertising soft mints, and he used to walk in a very slow manner, and that requires more balance. One side, then the other. One side and the other. Now I could make that more difficult. I could progress and challenge my balance slightly more by taking that to a slow march. One side and the other. One and the other. And you can see here how I am bracing my core to support me. I'm moving quite slowly. It would actually be much quicker or much easier to do this exercise quickly. We're challenging balance, therefore we work more slowly, encouraging our bodies to propriocept, sense where they are, sense their gravity. Okay, so from here moving on, the next thing we can do is just to hold that balance again on one side, but furthermore to challenge again, I'm going to take the knee up in front of me, so we're back to our slow marching. One side then the other. I'm focusing my core muscles. Got the chair to one side for safety if I want it. And I can further make that difficult again by going from a bent knee to extending behind me. Bent knee to extension. I can spin round and do the same thing again on the other side so that you can see me. Bent knee, knee flexion, hip extension, core muscle firing, glute muscle firing, flexion of the knee and the hip to extension of the hip. And if you pop your hand onto your butt cheek as you come back into that position, you can feel that butt cheek muscle firing. The gluteal muscles are two of the biggest muscles in the body, so if they are strong, we are much better able to walk. Remember that walking in itself is a challenge of balance. As we walk, we're constantly having one foot in the air, or one foot off of the ground more appropriately. Let's go back then to the lifting of the leg off the ground. Again, you'll notice I've got my hands in the middle of my body. I can do that facing you. You'll notice also that I am working through the core to stabilise my hips. One side, whoa, careful. One side and then the other. That's why we must always have a chair to hand. One side and the other. Again, to progress, we can add the arm in as well. Challenging our brain's coordination skills, sending messages around the body from brain to the lower limbs. Our neuromuscular pathways are challenged. And the slower we work, the more difficult it becomes. Again, going back to our one leg balance, we literally bring this knee up. If you're struggling to bring the knee up, just literally lift the foot off the ground and then swap. This would be a great place to start. As your confidence grows, we can make the bigger movements. And a great place to do this, in fact, would be in the kitchen at home, where we've got a long work surface which you could rest one hand on to ensure that you're safe. And of course, it's really important for all of us to stay safe, but particularly those of you who may live alone. It's crucial that you either have a chair to one side that you can pop your hand on if needed, or you work from a surface such as your kitchen, where you've got the worktop. You can just pop your hand down if you need to. Let's do 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And from here, let's go into the knee lifting and the hip extending behind us. As I take the foot behind me, I'm really having to bear my weight onto the right side. And as this hip opens, this hip flexor goes into extension with the foot behind me, it really fires this gluteal muscle. Knee flexion, hip extension, flexion, hip extension. Let's do that on the other side. Flexion, extension, flexion, extension. Tummy muscles working at all times. Here I can beautifully reference the edge of the door frame to help me cue my balance. Flexion, extension, hand on your bum, see if that muscle's working for you today. Okay, so those are a great combination of exercises which will stabilise and help us balance from our core right through to the hips, down into the legs and therefore onto the ground. If you want to work a little bit more dynamically, we could take a step to one side and just balance the weight on one side like this. That does require balance. And furthermore, you could also add that little bit of shoulder movement and rotation in, which is really nice for the hips and for the lower back. We can go 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. If I now look again at this extension plane, and again we can take up the intensity of our workout by working more quickly. I take my left arm up in front of me and my right foot back. That lengthens this right hip flexor and causes the right glute to fire. Let me show you that from the front. So I can step back and lift the opposite arm. And so each time I step back, the hip flexor is lengthening across the front of the hip and putting my glute into contraction. So here we're working in the normal, traditional step that you would use for walking. And with the previous exercise, I'm working with a medial step for lateral integrity of the hips. Put your teeth back in, Andy. Lateral integrity of the hips. Okay, let's see how that changes things. So here I'm stepping back and forwards. Here I'm stepping sideways. Again, thinking about my core muscles. I can have a little dip in there to strengthen my quads. Good job. And if you want to, you could add a little arm raise. And then we're working in quite a dynamic fashion. And as you do that, taking the arms above the head, the heart rate quickens. Only do these exercises if you feel safe to do them. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Have a little wriggle and jiggle Just push the reset button on some of that tension in your body. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is walk across the back of the chair in a heel to toe movement. So my feet are doing this, this, this and this, and I'll do that by holding on to the back of the chair, looking straight ahead, core muscles braced, everything pulled in around the centre of my body, but continuing to breathe as I would normally. Shoulders back, hips pushing slightly forward, step and step and step, and back and back. One last step, Andy. Okay, going forward again, heel to toe, heel to toe, heel to toe. If you find that difficult, you could, by all means, just widen your feet very slightly, closer than you would normally walk, but it will still balance, it will still challenge your balance skills. Okay, so we're just walking across the back of the chair in this pigeon step. And back once more, referencing a particular spot in front of me, helping me to balance. Okay. Moving on from here, let's look at how we can move this step or the hip into lots of different directions. Stable hips means that we are more able to balance. Let's turn the chair sideways so you can see what I'm creating. Okay, first thing I'll do then is step forward on the left side at 12 o'clock, back out to 1 o'clock, hips lifted, pelvis tucked underneath the body, causing the glutes to support the lower back. Stepping out, so I do 6 hours around the clock face. I'm running out of space, so let me just move forward slightly. 1, back, 2, back, 3. You'll notice the slower you move, the more difficult it becomes. 4, 5, 6. This exercise is really very good also for tight lower backs, for achy lower backs, getting the hips to move. Mobile hips, mobile, integral, strong hips will support lower back pain. Okay, let's go round to the other side. Stepping forward, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3, 4, 5, and straight back for 6. Let's do that again. 12, 1, hands around my middle again, 2, 3, side, slightly back for 4, back further, 5, straight back, 6, pelvis lifted, sternum lifted in this position, requires a little bit of balance. Okay, over to the other side. $12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2, 3, out to the side, 4, back slightly, 5 and 6. Last time on this one, guys. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Well done. Let's go back to the exercise where we were swapping our weight from one leg to the other. So we step across, we push the arms up, step across, push up. Dipping through the knees, pushing up. A dynamic balance exercise, a little bit like a sideway lunge. And I am lifting one foot as I move. Doesn't have to be very far off of the ground. You may indeed keep the feet on the ground, just lift your heels. You could even keep your heels down, just distribute the weight as you push the arms out to the sides. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Let's have a wriggle and jiggle. Shaky, shaky, shaky. Okay, and now is the time for us to stretch. So because I've spent quite a lot of time on core integrity, I'm going to take my chin onto my chest. I'm going to curl down as you've seen me do in other exercises. That is to relax the spine. Please make sure that as you do it, you are safe. Only do this exercise standing if you're confident with your balance. Let's do that sideways so that everybody can see us, Andy. Chin onto the chest, curling round and down through the spine. I'm allowing my back to arch. Down, 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 down. I feel that as a stretch in my hamstrings. Curling round as much as I can. Hands onto the chins. Walking back up towards the knees. Shoulders back and down. Okay. From here, let's stretch hamstrings. We can do that by putting the heel onto the chair. So this is an elevated hamstring stretch. Slightly soft knee. I'm stretching the back of my knee up towards my bum. I come down, keep my back nice and straight. My neck is in line with the rest of my spine, and I'm looking at my toes. Really big stretch on the back of this upper thigh on this leg which is rested on the chair. Okay, let's swap to the other side. I can drop my glutes down a little bit, trying to keep my back nice and straight. Hamstring, back of this knee up towards the bum. Excellent. From here we could go to a calf stretch. So we're bending both knees. This will stretch the back of the lower portion of my calf on my back leg. So I've got both knees bent, my back is straight, my glutes are dropping, both heels are on the ground. This stretches the lower portion of the calf on my left side. Swap over to the other side, bending both knees, bum sticks out. Heels both stay on the ground. I'm stretching the calf muscle on my right side. Do that front on so that you can see me. Both knees bent. It's actually quite a small position to put the body in, but it's certainly, you can feel that stretch. And it's this muscle here that I'm stretching the calf. Over to the other side, bend both knees, settle the glutes down, looking at the space, maybe 12-18 inches in front of me. And the last stretch I'm going to do today is to stretch my gluteal muscles. Those are my butt cheeks. The way in which I'm going to do that is sitting in the chair, cross one leg over the other, bringing the chin down towards the shin, say that carefully, leaning forward, trying to keep the back nice and straight. And I feel this stretch into this right hip, into the flesh of the glute muscles. Nice straight back. Again, chin towards the shin or towards the leg, and I'm looking down at the ground about 8 to 10 inches in front of my toes. And finally onto the other side, stretching the gluteal muscle and the hip on this left side. Nice straight back, chin working down towards my shin. And come out of that position. So those are your standing balance exercises. Please do exercise with care. Make sure that you've got a chair to one side to support you. As we know, balance can sometimes be tricky. Do invest your time into this because balance is a skill and it will get better the more you practice these exercises. They will become easier the more you practice. My name's Payne and that's your balance exercise routine on behalf of Parkinson's Care and Support UK. Thank you for joining me.